Hi, and welcome to Cenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
Hello and welcome, everyone. Today we're jumping into a huge topic, natural supplements for anxiety. I mean, a lot of us are curious about this, right? So we're going to cut through all that noise and get straight to the science. What actually works, what doesn't. And maybe most importantly, how do you approach all of this safely? So have you ever felt just anxious, overwhelmed, and find yourself looking for a more natural way to find some calm? If so, you are definitely not alone. It's an incredibly common search. So today, let's break down what the science has to say. But first, why are so many people even turning to these in the first place?
So yeah, what is driving this big shift towards natural options? Let's take a look at the core motivations behind.
It really boils down to three big things. First, there's this feeling of safety, right? A lot of people just feel more comfortable with something that comes from a plant. Then there's convenience. I mean, you can just grab them off the shelf, no prescription needed. And third, and this is a big one, they're not always seen as a cure-all. It's more like one piece of the puzzle, something you use alongside things like therapy or other lifestyle changes.
Okay, now we get to the core of it all. Which of these supplements actually have some real science backing them up? We can actually group them into three main categories.
First up on our list, amino acids. And you can really think of these as the brain's literal building blocks. They can have a really direct impact on your brain chemistry, the neurotransmitters that control your mood and how you handle stress.
Okay, so when we look at the main players here, you've got L-theanine. This one's pretty famous for helping you relax without making you sleepy. Then you have GABA, which is a super important calming chemical in the brain. The only tricky part is, scientists are still debating how much of a GABA pill actually makes it into your brain to do its job. And finally, there's this interesting combination, L-lysine plus L-arginine. And this one has some seriously promising research behind it.
Yeah, that L-lysine and L-arginine combo is really worth highlighting. Check this out. The research shows it can quickly bring down your cortisol levels. That's the main stress hormone. And in a field where you see a lot of mixed results, hearing a phrase like consistently positive findings, well, that's a really big deal. All right, let's move on to our second category, adaptogens and herbal extracts. Now, these work a little differently. If amino acids are like direct messengers for the brain, adaptogens are more like trainers for your body's entire stress response system. They help things like your HPA axis get more balanced and resilient over time.
So in this group, ashwagandha is a real standout. There are solid studies showing it can lower stress scores. Then you have things like kava and passion flower. They also have good evidence, but, and this is super important, they come with a warning. You really need to use these with a doctor's guidance because of potential liver issues. And of course, there are the gentler classics like lemon balm and chamomile, which are awesome for support.
And for our last category, let's get back to basics, minerals and vitamins. Because sometimes, the answer isn't adding some exotic new thing. It's just making sure your body has all the fundamental tools it needs for your nervous system to work right in the first place.
So if we break this down, you've got magnesium, which is huge for serotonin. Then there's inositol, which has some pretty cool research for panic symptoms, but it's worth pointing out those studies used really, really high doses. And then you have the B vitamins and omega-3s. Look, they are absolutely crucial for your brain health, no question. But the evidence that they directly treat anxiety specifically, it's a bit more mixed.
All right, we've talked a lot about the what. Now we've got to cover the how, which is honestly just as important. Picking something out is one thing, but using it safely and smartly, that's the whole game. Look, the key here is to be methodical. The number one absolute golden rule is start with only one new supplement at a time. That's it. Give your body a good 2 to 4 weeks to see how it responds. And please do not start mixing and matching things that have similar effects, like taking 2 different calming herbs, unless a doctor tells you to.
So how can you tell if you're buying a good product? It's all about looking for green flags and red flags. A huge green flag? Third-party testing. That means an independent lab has verified what's on the label is actually in the bottle. And a giant red flag? Those vague proprietary blends that don't tell you how much of each ingredient you're getting? Seriously, when it's your health, you want total transparency.
Okay, let's do a little rapid-fire Q&A on the stuff that comes up all the time.
First question, and it's a really, really important one. Are anxiety supplements safe to take if you're pregnant?
Okay, the answer here is a very clear and cautious no from most clinicians. There just isn't enough safety data out there. So the golden rule, the only rule, is simple. Talk to your obstetrician before you even think about taking anything. Period.
All right, next question. How fast will this stuff work? When am I going to feel something? Well, this one really depends on what you're taking. Some things, like L-theanine, are pretty fast-acting. You might feel a difference in just a few days. But others, especially adaptogens and minerals, need time to build up in your system. For those, you've got to be patient. We're talking anywhere from 2 to maybe even 6 weeks before you can really tell if it's working for you.
And our last question in this section, can you use something like a blood test to help figure out what you should be taking?
Yes, 100%. This is a fantastic way to stop guessing and start measuring. Getting tests for things like your vitamin B12 levels, magnesium, or even your thyroid function can uncover issues you didn't even know you had. It lets you and your doctor create a plan that's tailored specifically for you.
We've gone through a ton of information. So what are the big things you really need to walk away with? Let's boil it all down.
Okay, here are the 3 biggest takeaways. Number 1, the evidence is everything. Stick with the options that have real clinical research behind them. Number 2, safety first always. That means talking to a professional and starting with a low dose, nice and slow. And number 3, and this might be the most important, supplements are not a magic fix. They are just one part of a bigger plan that should absolutely include things like therapy, good sleep, and moving your body.
So we've covered the what, the why, and the how. The information is now in your hands, so the real question isn't for me, it's for you. Now that you're armed with this knowledge, what's your next informed step going to be?
Thank you for watching Cenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit Cenario.com. See you in the next one.